Back at the thrift store. Okay, so sorry I couldn't film too much in the thrift store. There were a lot of people, so I had to keep my phone kind of down, you know, out of the way. But so here's what I ended up getting. I'll start off with this. I've been looking for a bass guitar for a while, just any old bass. So I found this one. It's pink, but it looks to be in really pretty good condition, aside from a missing knob and a missing tuning peg part of that thing. So, you know, headstock's in great condition. The neck looks pretty damn good. Minimal scratches on the body, so it's gonna make a pretty nice P bass. Paid $40 for that. It's a Davison, so it's a beginner level bass, but it should do fine. I'm gonna replace the tuner and get a knob, a matching set of knobs for it, and it should be great. And I may end up refinishing this thing, painting it a cool color, doing something like that with it. So yeah, there's that. I also got this. This is a Kenwood home theater subwoofer. I'm not too sure what model it is. I didn't check, but this was $20 as well. There's the model number. 110 watt. Apparently it'll pull from the wall. So what I'm actually doing with this is I've got it hooked up to some speaker wire here, and I'm gonna ghetto rig it into my rear speaker through the high level inputs, and I have a power inverter at the front of my car I'm gonna bring back here and plug this guy in and use as a car subwoofer for a little bit. So that's why that's here. I also got this. This is an equalizer, RCA 10-band stereographic equalizer. No model number, it seems, but got this. My dad's actually going to pay for this. This was $20, and we're going to use this with our JBL D130s, so that's going to be great because those need quite a bit of EQ, unfortunately, and you know, as it stands right now, that's a better option. I also got a pair of realistic Minimus 7Ws. I had the Minimus 7s, so I'm pretty familiar with these, but got these. We'll check these out. And then just for shits and giggles, I also got, where did they go? These White Van Vanderbach audio pieces of junk. It looks like this is one of the, would have been like a Bose Jewel Cube thing, but we're gonna check that out, open these up, see what's inside. We're gonna open all this stuff right here up, and yeah, those little guys and the Minimus, and give them a little look. And yeah, I'm gonna head home, plug this guy in, bump it, and yeah, I'll see you when we get home. Okay, so we've got everything over here except the bass guitar. Pretty sure we all know what that is all about. Pretty much covered what there needed to be covered on that. So I guess let's start off by checking out these Minimus 7Ws. Got two of them for $10. Here they are. Pretty sure I know what's gonna be beneath them. Minimus 7s are pretty famous, but let's just take a look here and see what's beneath the grills. See if there's any surprises or anything, you know. Because there might be. I don't know. Okay, so that looks about right for a Minimus 7. Nothing out of the ordinary. You've got the 4-inch paper cone woofer with the rubber surround and felt dust cap, and then the felt silk dome tweeter there. This is the one with the plastic bracket. They did make a variation. I'm not sure if they made a variation of the 7Ws with the metal bracket, but there was a variation of these, of the regular 7s with the metal bracket. But that's about it for that. The other one's probably the same, I would guess. If it's not, I'd be surprised, but, you know, anything's possible, like I said. Nope, exactly the same. So I guess let's pull one of these guys apart and take a look at what the driver looks like. Because, you know, that's what we do here. So, yeah. Okay, so, taking the woofer out, I need to pry it a little bit. There we go. Seems to be a gasket on the back. So, what we've got inside this wooden box, some fiberglass. The crossover appears to consist of some kind of inductor and a capacitor. I guess that would be for the tweeter. You can see there, inductor and a capacitor in there. And this is what the woofer looks like. These are pretty nice little 4-inch woofers, as you can see. They're definitely no slouch. And they do sound pretty alright. This is probably one of Realistic's better products, I would say. One of their best, even. Most of their speakers didn't really sound all that great. But these were not bad, including the 7s and the 11s, I think, are the larger ones. So yeah, that's what the woofer looks like. Okay, so now let's take the tweeter out and see what that looks like on the back. Okay, I need this again. And there is your tweeter. Tweeter, SD59 8 ohms, Korea, 1991, 706. There it is. Get a close-up of that. There in the light. So, yeah. That's what the Minimus 7Ws are all about. So I'm just going to screw these back in and we'll move on to the next set of speakers. Okay, so now we've got these gems right here. This is actually one speaker I found out. I probably paid way too much for these. I paid $7, but I just had to know what was inside these, and what they were like. This is a Vanderbach audio that probably won't focus because I'm using my front-facing camera, but Vanderbach audio, basically Bose Jewel Cube ripoff, right here. So, you know, you can see this is actually one speaker. It was supposed to join from one to the other right there, and there's only one set of terminals. So, not really sure what to expect on these. Should probably take this, this tape off, first of all, as it's kind of annoying. Alright, now that we got the tape off, that should be enough. I guess the next step would be to see if we can get one of these grills off. You can tell something's a little broken in there. I assume the thing that's broken is what would have held these two things together. Yeah, white van quality, I tell you. I wouldn't be surprised if I find concrete in these. But, because they are quite weighty, to be honest. But, yeah, let's see if I can try and get one of these grills off of here. It's probably going to be a challenge if I had to guess, without breaking anything. So, okay, there we go. I'm pretty sure some of the plastic just broke off, but, you know, that looks like an okay driver, but, it probably doesn't sound too great, to be honest. The cover just flew off over there, but yeah. It looks okay. It's got a nice dotted cone there.
You probably can't tell, but and it's got a foam surround as it should, or not as it should, but as it probably expectedly would. That's probably not a word either. Anyways, let's take the other grill off. And I definitely just completely broke that. Oh my goodness. Piece of absolute quality, I tell you. These are top notch. Jeez. Oh my god. Yeah, the plastic's just snapping all over the place. It looks like this one was already ripped right there. Or the fabric, the grill fabric. There we go. Okay. So yeah, same exact driver over there, and that's what you've got there. So I guess now let's take one of these guys out and see what the drivers actually look like and whether we've got concrete inside the speakers. Well, that is very interesting. So, we don't have concrete, and one of the wires just broke off of the speaker there, so I'm just going to rip the other one off, to be honest. Here's what the driver looks like. 4 ohms, 15 watts, very small magnet on that guy. Nothing really too special about that at all. Probably sounds half okay. But, inside we don't really have concrete, but it's like a giant ferrite block thing of some sort there. And yeah, it's not ferrite. I'm actually not too oh, okay. It's actually some kind of plastic covering. Let me see if I can get that out. There we go. Ah, interesting. So this is kind of like a molded plastic thing, and my guess is what would be inside this is sand. But I could be wrong. I almost just dropped it. But yeah, definitely not a quality speaker. You definitely don't find weights in high quality speakers, because without that, I mean, this thing weighs nothing. So yeah, that's all there is to these. Test them out later. Test all these out. Minimum 7s, these, and this. So let's move on to that now. We've got a Kenwood. I guess it's in probably an 8 or a 10-inch home theater subwoofer. The model number is SW22HT. It's got a nice heat sink on the back. It's got a phase switch, as it should. High-level inputs. By the way, I was not able to use this in my car on the way home. I don't know why. I guess my inverter, it didn't agree with my inverter. It's probably a modified square wave inverter, if I had to guess, and this doesn't play nice with that. But phase switch, volume, or gain rather, crossover, which sweeps from 80 hertz to 160 hertz. Auto shutoff switch, that's handy. Power switch, there you go. So let's take a little look behind this grill here to see what kind of driver we're working with, and if this thing has a port. I'd assume it does, though there isn't anyone on the box, and if there was, it would be in the front. So let's just take this grill off here. It's pretty easy to take off, especially with this thing. So I can already see we've got a port in the top left. Whoops, I probably just broke, yep, I just broke that peg. Oh boy, that's okay. Not a huge deal to me. So we've got what looks to be about an 8-inch subwoofer and a maybe 3-inch or so port. It goes pretty deep in there, actually. And that is actually a really stiff driver, I gotta say. Surround is really hard. Definitely is not going to have a lower resonant frequency, probably. Though it may, but it's highly likely it won't. So let's take this driver out. It's got 8 screws. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go get the drill for this because this is gonna take a while. Alright, I'm back with a drill. So now we can get this out a lot quicker. Okay, all the screws are out now, so let's get this driver out of here. Okay, not bad. Oh, okay. So this is actually a dual voice coil driver, believe it or not. It has 2 coils. They seem to be wired in parallel. 8 ohm, it says on the back, though it could be something else. Per coil, it could be 8 ohms total, but yeah, that is a dual voice coil subwoofer, so that's kind of interesting. Definitely. And then it's got an amp inside, which, as you can see, is a self-contained unit. It is in its own thing, and that port goes just about to the back of the enclosure, and is flared on both ends, which is good to see in a product like this, though it is just a cardboard tube situation, and this doesn't seem to be seated too great in the enclosure. But yeah, that's alright. So, no point in taking the amp out because it's self-contained and wouldn't really show us anything except just take the whole unit out as it already is. So, yeah, I'm gonna see about using this in my living room. We now have a TV in there, and this would make a good subwoofer for that area with our receiver that's up there. And I may experiment. I have some other 8-inch drivers around, and I may experiment with swapping this guy out for some of those and seeing how those operate. I'm not too sure why they would opt for a dual voice coil in this guy. My only guess would be there was a passive version of this speaker, and like that old Samsung subwoofer I used to have, it would have had 2 sets of terminals on it. That was a dual voice coil subwoofer, so that you could hook it into your receiver, I guess, in parallel with your other speakers, or on the speaker B output of a receiver, or a different output. But it obviously would be getting full range, but yeah, that's kind of interesting. So yeah, there's not really much point in checking or opening this guy up. It's just going to be a bunch of components inside. But it's got some interesting tape on it, though, with like skulls and whatnot. I'm not sure why that is, because that's definitely not holding the thing on. The screws are still in here. So yeah, I might hook this guy up and then an amp along with it, and then run through a test of each of these speakers. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Okay, so here we have the, what was it called? The Vanderbach, I think, was the name of this white van thing. Vanderbach Audio, or whatever, speaker. I'm just gonna test one because the other one kind of, well, I took it apart and I'm too lazy to put it back together, so yeah. It might sound a little funny because of the little hole in the case there, but with all that freaking weight from that stupid thing in there, there's like barely any box space. There's barely any space in the cabinet to begin with. But the driver actually is okay-ish. I've heard a lot worse from name brands, but this is definitely not this is more of a boombox kind of, or like a computer speaker kind of driver here, and not a pro, or not pro, but like a home audio type speaker. So here we go. This is the song I'll be playing for all of them, Fight of the Flamenco by Flamingosis. Really cool artist with chill music, so yeah.
1, 2, 3.
if I cover the hole, it gets a little better, but that's the kind of sound it gets.
Yo.
So, you know, to be fair, it's really an okay driver. As you could hear, the treble response is actually not as horrible as I was expecting, even. However, this is probably all due to the cabinet and that stupid weight in there. There's an awful mid-range boxiness resonance thing going on with it, and it makes it sound like crap in that department. But as far as like overall the driver itself is okay. Definitely can't take a lot of power though, and it's not very efficient. This would be an okay-ish driver in a Bluetooth speaker probably. It could do pretty well in something like that because, it does actually have a decent response. But, yeah, it's just not that great, to be honest. I may probably, and I probably will, blow these out just for fun because I really have no use for these. And yeah, that's really all there is to these. So I guess let's move on to the Minimus 7Ws. Okay, so I've now got the 7W, Minimus 7Ws that is, hooked up. And I've switched my microphone into stereo so that you can better hear both speakers. I've had it in mono for the rest of the video because of dialogue and because I only had one speaker, but for these I'll throw it in stereo so that you can hear it a little better. And here we go, same song.
1, 2, 3.
Definitely sound way better than that little white van speaker did.
Yo.
So yeah. Basically, they sound like Minimus 7s. I very vaguely remember what my old pair of Minimus 7s sounded like. And these are pretty similar to those, at least as far as treble is concerned. It's basically the same. I can't really speak to much else because that's not something that stood out. But yeah, these have a nice, smooth, warm treble. It's not very bright, especially compared to my homemade speakers over there and those Yamahas up there. It's a lot softer, and I'll demonstrate that real quick. So this is what the Minimus 7 sound like again. And now if I switch over to my homemade speakers, you'll hear the difference. So these are a little bit brighter than the Minimus 7s. They don't have that as much of the really good top end, but they're definitely a smooth sounding speaker and could sound really good with certain genres of music. And they're definitely some of the best compact speakers you can still get in this form factor, to be honest. They're built really well. They use great components, and they don't sound too bad. So yeah, they're a great option. Especially if you can find them at a thrift store like I did for only $10. So yeah, now we're going to go on to this Kenwood subwoofer here and test it out. So unfortunately, it does seem that the amplifier is not my guess is that little blue thing right there is a relay, and it seems that there is no click or anything happening when you turn this thing on or off. So something's definitely not right with it. In addition, I have this hooked up well, the lead fell off, but I had it hooked up directly to speaker level outputs to see if the driver was okay, and it doesn't seem like the driver is putting out any sound at all either. So unfortunately, that seems to be a little bit of a bust. Sometimes that will happen though when you get stuff from a thrift store. So yeah, it's a little unfortunate, but so just gonna punch in here for a second. Turns out the driver does work. I foolishly, when I put this plastic bit back on, I forgot to hook the woofer back up. The woofer is fine. So I can't really turn it up now as it's late, but as you can hear, it is working, albeit in full range and without its plate amp, but at least the driver is okay. And the enclosure's okay. It would work well with maybe another 8-inch woofer and something else, some other plate amp, you know, maybe one of those Dayton ones. But other than that, you know, that's really about it. Additionally, I was testing out the equalizer, and it also seems to work. So if I flick this guy on and throw it to FM so I can get some audio, just tune to a station, something without music. There we go.
ABC News correspondent Kenneth on Skype. Next, we'll tell you about
you will see.
The NBA. It's 9:14.
Hi, I'm Rich McKinney.
It does seem to work. And you can cut treble and stuff, as you can tell.
The number one place where falls occur is in the bathroom.
So that seems to be working okay. I have it running through the preamp out and amplifier in ports as kind of a loop. You could call it an effects loop, but that's the term you would use for like a guitar amplifier. But yeah, that's equalizer seems to be working great. It's a great addition for this since it makes these speakers, makes me able to make the speakers sound a little bit better, since they are quite harsh in the upper treble department. So yeah, that's really about it for this video. If you liked, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do everything you have to do. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.